There, now I'm part of the stream. I needed to add myself. What's up, everyone? It's Rich. Rich to the rich, rich, rich. So this is interesting. My webcam is on my Cintiq, balanced precariously. I'm gonna go to YouTube really fast, and you can see me. I can't see you right now. I want to just get the stream open so that I can see the chat. Like I said, this is let me mute this. So we got 7 people watching. How's it going, everyone? What is up? Yeah, so the idea for this video is I know a little bit about CLIPSTUDIO, but I don't know that much. And ultimately what ends up happening is for my Patreon, I almost 320 people that take like lessons from me and different things. And a lot of people work digitally. It's just one of those things. And so, hey, what is up? Okay, what's up, Michael? Nice to see you. This is a new view of my studio you don't normally see. So normally I sit behind me where you see like right back here, right there. And that's the computer that I'll do like all my, I can draw something. What would you like me to draw? A crazy hyena, right? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, normally I work back there. No, I mean, I draw here. This is like my drafting table I'm sitting in front of. Right, it's funny. Yeah. Honestly, most of the stuff that's in here is just shit that I don't really use. Honestly, everything is a dead zone. It's actually clean, believe it or not. That's just art. It's funny because people like honestly, like if you see an artist and their studio is clean, they're not working. They're just fucking collecting shit. That's my 2 cents on that. Like you have to understand, I create probably between 200 and 400 pieces of art a year on top of all the extras that go into it. So it's like you just have shit. You have a ton of shit. I mean, I have thousands and thousands of sheets of paper that have everything on it that you can imagine under the sun. If I do a print for Iron Maiden and they send me 50 of them, now I have 50 of those. If they do 3 versions of it, now I have 150 of those. Every comic book I do, I get like 20, 25 copies of. I've done probably, how many comics? Hundreds? Yeah, exactly. When you see people and they show a picture of a like pristine office, that's like, I'm suspicious already. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, a while ago I had this idea of what I was gonna do is I was gonna sort of like remodel my office for YouTube, but I figured, you know what, it would be fun for people to see like how it starts and then how it evolves as I go into cyber rich. I'm just kidding. Yeah, okay, so it's Inktober. I know that Jake Parker is like pretty like there's a controversy around Jake Parker right now. This is very confusing because I'm looking at myself, but I'm not looking at the camera. The camera is there and I'm like getting like triple vision. But anyway, right, I draw like Todd McFarlane. If I try to draw something cute, it's actually scary most of the time. Oh, I'm reading it. It has character. My office is full. My office is actually very, very cool. I have huge bookshelves over there that have tons and tons of books. There's, oh my God, people would die just to see that. And that's like, honestly, not even 1/10 of my book collection. And that's books, not comic books. That's books. And then I've got books, like all the big artist editions that you see. But anyway, but yeah, so for Inktober, I went like, you know, I would like to explore CLIPSTUDIO and see from a traditional artist point of view how far I can take that program. And so immediately, like my concern when you even talk about digital art is people go, oh, Rich does digital. He's a digital guy. Like you'll have someone talking for you on Facebook and like someone will go, hey, I saw a piece from this artist, and they'll like the experts all chime in and they go, you know, one time he did a video with CLIPSTUDIO and so he's digital. It's like, it gets really annoying. So a lot of times I try to avoid things that I don't want to be like aligned with. But Hey, what's up, Phil? But anyway, yeah, so the point of this video is we're going to go into Clip Studio Paint. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at two sets of brushes that I got, which is the Frenden and the Flyland brush sets. My cat is hitting the door outside the office. That was very weird. Oh, it's like, sorry. You probably can't hear it. It was a very weird noise. Anyway, but yeah, and so what I wanted to do is I wanted to look through their pre-made quills and brushes, and I'm going to point out the ones that I think mimic tools that I use most frequently first. So for people that know nothing about Clip Studio Paint, we're going to start with that. We're going to start with just the basics of the program, and throughout the month, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep learning about it each day more and more. And right. I mean, I think Clip Studio is a very, very interesting tool. I prefer Photoshop, but I know that Clip Studio is a very, very powerful program for comic book artists in particular. And so I figured, just why not? Let's just, you know, screw around and see what we can do. So I'm going to share my screen. I won't be able to see the right. Thank you, Donald. See, you know, Richard uses digital and doesn't want to be associated with paper. It's confirmed. You know the internet is like that, though. It's the funniest thing. Whoa, sorry, my webcam is tripping. Come on, webcam. Can you focus on me? What is it doing? Anyway, we won't worry about the webcam because I'm going to be going into Clip Studio now. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go into Clip Studio. I won't be able to see the chat. What I'll do is maybe like every 5 minutes or so, I'll hop out and try to look at the most recent so we can communicate a little bit. But here's the deal. There's going to be people that are watching this video that know a lot more about Clip Studio than I do. And so your feedback and information as I move through the program can actually speed things up. But again, I'm not going to be able to see your comment right away. I'll hop in and out of the screen share for Clip Studio. So yeah, let me go in and I'm going to start going through their quills. We'll look at the quills first, and I'll try to tell you ones that I think actually are similar to Hunt 102. So, all right, let me do this screen share screen. All right, so we'll do it. It's so weird. It doesn't pop up all my windows that are open. Give me 1 second. It did this the other day. Like I had Photoshop open and it doesn't give me the ability to select it as an application window. All right, let me see. Come on. Like Clip Studio is open, but it's not. It's the only thing it's having me be able to select is Chrome. Let me do this. Now let's see if it is. Okay, here it goes. You have to almost open in a subscreen. All right, so we're going in Clip Studio. Let's do this. Okay, so now we're in Clip Studio. So you can see the layout of the program right now. I've got up here in the top left corner all my tools. I'm going to go into this one right here. It kind of looks like a Hunt 102 nib. So the nibs that come with Clip Studio are G Pen, Real Pen, Mapping Pen, Turnip Pen, Calligraphy, Effect Line, and Textured Pen. So the G Pen and the Mapping Pen were the two that I use the most. I'm on a Cintiq right now. A lot of times when I'll do my lessons, I will be on a, what would you call it? A tablet, not this. So anyway, let's screw around with the G Pen. I like the G Pen a lot. Right now I have it set on 70, which is a very, very big brush size. And let me see. The one thing that you need to be sure about, I'm actually going to shut this paper and open my own, or whatever they call it. Like, so I'm going to go File, New. 400 resolution is good to go. Normally, if I scan original art, I scan everything at 600 DPI. So I actually work a little bit lower res in the programs. And then I go 11 by 17. And this was a custom sheet. And the basic expression color is a drop-down thing. I generally do my layouts. Like if I'm laying stuff out digitally, I will use the color, because what I can do is I can work in red pencil or blue or whatever and kind of, you know, be able to see things separately. But we'll work in color. It's fine. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to hit OK. So, all right. So we've got a 400 PPI or DPI file. I'm going to take the brush size down to about 12. Or let me see something here really quick. Okay, so that's pretty fine. Let me go to... I think you can, yeah. So you can actually, like, okay, I'm over here under the brush properties. You can actually click the number and sort of establish one. So here's a recommendation that I'll give you based on what I've seen working in these programs is Zoom is your friend, but it's also your enemy. Anyone that's worked digitally knows what I'm talking about. Zoom is a very, very powerful tool in Clip Studio Paint. The problem with the power of it is it's giving you a false reality of the artboard. So what I mean by that is right now when I'm looking at my screen, I'm on I think it's a 26 or 28 inch Cintiq. Right now, the piece of paper size, if it were to actually take like a piece of paper and put it on my screen, is at about 8.5 by 11 size, approximately. But I'm only looking at this at 18%, okay? So now when I zoom in one click of the plus, I'm going Control plus. This is approximately, just coincidentally, about the size of an 11 by 17 board now. So what I have in front of me at 25% is an 11 by 17 board. So here's the deal. This really is the size that you should be working at. The reason being is when you start to, I'll throw down some lines really quick. So I have lines here. If I go into 33%, now all of a sudden I'm working on a sheet of paper that's maybe 14 inches wide by about 22 inches long. If I go into 50%, now I'm looking at a piece of paper that's maybe a foot and a half long by 2 feet wide. I go 75 or 66.7%. Now I'm working on a sheet of paper that's 2 feet by maybe 3.5 feet. And when I go into 100% on this, this is a gigantic artboard. This line is beautiful. It looks great. It's got sharp points, da 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 da. Watch when I put it down to what comic book size is. So a comic book is going to print about like this. So the point being is, when you zoom in and you're working on something very, very small, you're going to get real tight detail, but you have to make sure that it's going to actually translate into a comic book. So I would recommend trying to stay at the 25% at 400 DPI, because that's going to be more aligned to how small you would draw traditionally. So it is important, and I've seen a lot of pencilers that work digitally. They draw small all the time, and it's like in a comic book, it's kind of annoying. I mean, comic books should be big and exciting and have these dynamic things. And if everything you draw is this, and this seems big to you because you're on a computer, I call it the 2-inch art. You guys have heard me talk about it. The people that work digitally, everything on their page is this size, almost always. So anyway, all right, let's get into the actual thing. So G Pen comes with the program. I've got it. I'm going to keep it at around 15 brush size. Opacity is 100%. I have it on for anti-aliasing. You see this here. I've explained it a little bit before. Other people explain it better, but anti-aliasing will create pixels. So do you see when I zoom in on this line that it's pixeled? So if I go all the way to the left and select the one that's anti-aliased, my lines look like this. They're completely blocked in, which comes in handy when you want to use like the paint bucket tool. So if I want to fill this with, say, red, it will stay inside of that. And the deal is now if I go back to my pen and I take the anti-aliasing off, and now I draw a line. And I know some of this is going to be very fundamental for people. Oh, hold on, let me put it black really quick, just so you see what I'm talking about. So if I go like this with the brush not anti-aliasing, and then I go into the paint bucket tool and drop it in, what happens is you're not getting clean edges. You see all these different colors in here. So you may or may not want that, but I actually prefer the look of the non-anti-aliased line because to me, it looks a little more traditional. So if I'm going to ink in Clip Studio, I do actually kind of prefer this line with a little bit of gray on it. It just, to me, if I scan my inks, it kind of looks a little more like this. And you can play with it. There's 4 settings. So this is nice. I think it's a good, like, kind of medium of it. And this is a little too, I would say that the third one over to me right now, like, kind of has, I think, the most of a traditional vibe. And that'll be a really, really tight line when you when it prints. Because look at the comment. Like, this is well, comic book size is a little bit smaller than this, probably like comic book size would be about about like that. So 18% is, this is about the size of a comic book if you had it in your hand. Look how small that that area is. It's pretty funny. So okay, all right. So the real G Pen, this was okay. So I'm using Clip Studio 5EX. If you have Manga Studio 5EX, they'll tell you it's the same program. You've heard me talk about this before. They're not exactly the same. And in fact, the custom brushes that I'm going to show you in a little bit, don't install into Manga Studio 5EX for whatever reason. They don't. This is a very, very cool pen, and I actually like that it gets a little bit of bleed. Do you see this? When we look at the line, I might be a little too zoomed in, but it's got a bit of a fuzzy end on it, which I actually think looks pretty cool. It wouldn't be for everything, but it almost gives the illusion of, do you see it looks a little bit like paper tearing? Watch, I'll go out a little bit. But do you see that? It's got a little bit of bleed to it. Pretty nice. And the thing is we can go into the settings. I won't show that today because that will really extend the length of the video. So mapping pen. Mapping pen was the main one that I've used when I actually use it. I actually really like the mapping pen for some reason. It seems to get the line that I like the best. What I like about it is, do you see that it starts thin and ends thin? If I go in and I'm going in very, very light with my hand, and then I flick it, and it sometimes, just digitally speaking, the ends don't get as tight as I want. I don't like that. So sometimes you do have to rethrow it. I'm assuming it's some sort of thought process that the computer can't fully get, because the stroke is there, meaning that like I know what I'm doing and how I flicked it, and it should start thin and end thin, like this one did it. If you look, like, do you see how it ended very, very thin and fades out? But sometimes it won't. You know, sometimes you'll do it and it won't have that nice end tip. Now, there's the stabilization option. I think in Manga Studio 5EX, it's actually kind of like more like the anti-aliasing, where you have kind of like maybe 3 or 4 options. This is more of a slider. I don't really care about the stabilization. I think, honestly, if you're going to work digitally, you might as well use it to some extent. It's there for you. And I think that there's, and this isn't an example of stabilization. I have a real steady hand. But my point being is it's there. There's a little bit of a connection gap, I think, between working digitally and getting an effect that will look traditional. But you can see how nice you could get a fade there. So, okay, I'm going to hop into the chat really fast and just make sure that I'm not drifting or people are yelling at the screen going like, oh my God, this is not, we can't see you, or whatever is going on. So let me get back into this. So is everything going okay right now with the chat? I can see the chat now. You can't seem to get the Clip Studio board to move smoothly like in Procreate. Anyone else? So do you mean like move your actual board around? Like the actual canvas? Like, because like in Photoshop, there's certain sizes where you can't move it. You have to have it big enough that it will grab it and move it. Is that what you mean? I need a second monitor. I have like 5 monitors. It's just not, my office isn't set up for streaming like that right now. But yeah, I have more monitors than I could possibly use. I actually have a monitor right there, funny enough. That's the one that I watch kind of TV on while I'm working. Like I spin the board of ink. Right. Oh, but you can't do it in Procreate. That I don't know. I don't have that. Or, oh, you can't get the Clip Studio board. Okay, so look, I'm gonna go back into Clip Studio for a second. All you do is you hit R and grab it, and then just it spins. So yeah, push down your R button, and then you get the little arrows, and then just rotate it. Problem solved, my friend, right? Let me go back to this for a sec. Give that a shot. Oh, right. Thank you. Thank you. Studio, not office. I know. That guy passed away. The guy that used to say that to me. Hal. He died. But yeah, a guy that I used to see on my walk, he told me, I was talking to him, he'd always ask me about my art, and I would always refer to my office, and he goes, it's not your office, it's your studio. He's like, that's where you create. I use the biggest Cintiq that they make. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's like is it 26 or 28 inches? I don't know the name of it. Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't like say it like really quickly on it. But okay, let's get back into the program really fast, and we'll start goofing around with the custom brushes. So, oh, calligraphy pen. I actually like the calligraphy pen. So here's the deal with it though, that I think this thing has a ton of potential. Is I like the Scott Williams waggle brush. So you see this? You know, you ever see Scott Williams where he does those really kick-ass, like thin to thick, sort of like these kind of things on his art? Where he takes like the side of the brush and he flicks it and he gets this like really cool looking line. So, and then if you just go thinner and kind of connect them like this, then you get, well, I call it the Scott Williams waggle. Credit where credit's due, although I'm sure people will tell me it's not. But look how beautiful that is. Those are gorgeous. But yeah, so the calligraphy brush actually comes in very handy. So here's the deal. This is my complaint on the calligraphy brush, but I know you can goof around with this. I would love for it to have a little bit of the G pen, the real G pen effect. What I mean by that is it would be great if it could just tear the paper just the tiniest bit. So what I'll do, I'm going to reverse engineer the real G pen. I'll go in a future video and we're going to look at the settings on the real G pen, and we're going to see how it splays the edges of the line. And then we're going to look at the calligraphy pen. So I'm just making this up as we go along. This is how I roll. But I would love to be able to have the calligraphy pen get that little bit of splinter, because this to me looks like a real line. I think that the real G pen is legit. It's a little too, it's funny. I think you could probably tame it. It's a little too rough for the work that I would want to do with it, but it's close. It's closer than this, which can look kind of sterile. And actually the anti-aliasing isn't working real good for that. I would actually go maybe a little bit less. It's a little, I'd like it a little sharper. So, okay, let's get into the fancy brushes now. We know what this thing can do. So turnip pen I don't use. Let's see what it kind of does. How would I describe that? Let me see. How would you guys describe the turnip pen? 32 Cintiq now. Yeah, I definitely don't have that. Mine's either 26 or 28. Chisel lines. Yeah, right, Ryan, exactly. The real question is, how far does the guitar need to be away from the Cintiq to get? I've been really good. I haven't played guitar in about 2 months. I have literally in this office right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 guitars in the studio right now, and it's not even all of my guitars. Boom. All right, let's get back into Clip Studio. Oh, wait. Can you guys see? Okay, here, I'm going back in the Clip Studio. Okay, so yeah, turnip pen, I don't find much use for this. So effect line, let's see what the effect line is. Oh, okay, this is a trippy line. This is like weird. Watch what this thing does. It starts out blunt and then it sharpens the tips. So for you, if you don't have good control over the tool, this is a lifesaver, man. Look at this thing. Makes me look like I'm a genius. This is why people are scared of digital. They're like, that's not fair. Everyone can ink good now. I don't give a shit. I hope everyone does ink good. How about that? How about them apples? So yeah, you know, again, look at that. Isn't that nice? So actually, I will say for effect line is excellent. Real G pen is excellent. I enjoy the mapping pen. Turnip pen, I'm not finding a lot of use for. Calligraphy pen, good to go. Texture pen, let's see what the hell this is. Okay, so it's similar to the real G pen. It was probably the predecessor to it. Oh, and it kind of, so this is interesting. I'm flicking the line very fast, and it seems to have a little bit of that for effect line thing, which is it's tapering my ends for me. I mean, I'm flicking the line nicely, but is it or not? Okay, no, it's not. I thought it. I'm going in as light as possible, pressing harder, and then coming out as light as possible. So here's the stroke: very light, push down, and then very light leaving. And do you see it starts? well, it starts thin and it ends very thin. So I thought for a second the program was doing it, but the effect line does do that for you. Watch, I'll press fat and it makes it thin. So for effect line, basically makes you look like you're an awesome inker. People don't want you to use that because they're going to think it's a cheat. I wish, the one thing that I do wish Clip Studio did is, like, you can rotate the canvas, but in Photoshop, if you press escape, it will line it back up, but Clip doesn't do that. So anyway, we're going to go into the Flyland pens now. So Flyland he's a really, really good like illustrator, like digital illustrator. He probably does traditional too. And let me get into the chat really quick. Any of you own the Flyland? Anyone own the Flyland brushes? Oh, you can only see my face? Okay, let me go back into the double click your canvas. Okay, thank you, Balandor. Double click your canvas for rotation to go back to default. Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me see. Okay, I'm going to add that to the screen. Okay, so now you can see Clip Studio, yeah? You have the Flyland brushes. What do you think of them, Donald? Do you like the Flyland brushes? I'll go back and show you really quickly. Turnip is like the microns, okay. Oh, Capullo's got a way bigger budget for guitars than I do, though. And he knows Zach Wilde. You think they're phenomenal? Okay, awesome. What do you think is, for the Flyland pens, what's your favorite one that is like a 102? Does he just call it a 102? Let me go. I'm going to go into Clip Studio again and let me see. It's okay, Noah. I'll be back. I promise. Okay, so I'm in Clip Studio now again. Let me see. Can you see Clip Studio full screen when I did that? When I did that, could you see Clip Studio? I do know Marshall Harrison. I took guitar lessons from him. I'm going to go back and take more. Marshall's a badass. Marshall is probably the best guitar teacher that's out there. He's nuts. I took lessons from Paul Gilbert, too. Okay, so this is the Tech Fill Pen for Flyland. I'm not really feeling that. Let me okay, so this is the brush Fat Matsu. Oh, this is nice. Wow. This is really, really nice brush. Holy shit. Man, this thing is awesome. So I went into my Flyland pens, but this is, oh, I guess it's considered a brush, though. It says it's the brush Fat Maru MS4. But this is really, really good. Okay, now I'm going to, this is his G pen. I don't like the G pen as much. I think the characteristic of a G pen, though, is that it actually is a little bit more, like, it's not as pointy of a line. So if you want something that's a little more tame, I think that's the whole point of it, is the G pen is a little more, and this has a little bump to it. If you look, it's got a little bit of a virtual, like, ink tear to it. Oh, and his brush is automatically set for anti-aliasing. So if I take it out, it is a little bit smoother. That might have been what I was seeing. Okay, let me check the chat really quick just to see what's going on. I never use a 102, but if I was bashing it off 102 lines, I've seen it say the Fat Maru 4. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going back into the program. Okay, so let's look at the rough bristle brush and see what that is. I'll have links to both of these guys' things. See, now this doesn't seem that rough to me. This is called a rough bristle brush, and it doesn't look rough at all. Oh, I guess it has a little bit of a thing going on. And you can adjust how crazy it is. Let's see. Yeah, it's not really rough enough. So here's rough pencil texture. That's kind of cool. So the lighter I press, the more rough it is. Yeah, it's all right. Let me show you the Frendens really quick. We'll get into other stuff. I mean, I can't go through all of these, obviously. What I'll do is I'll experiment with these on my own, and I'll show you the ones that I think are the best. So this is a nib soft, nib very soft. So, okay, so let's get into other parts of the program. For people that don't know, okay, like this is kind of interesting. I can show you guys is, okay, so say I do all this stuff and I've got like a bunch of stuff black and I want to turn it blue line. Most people know that you can turn the layer blue by clicking. What I did was over on the right side of the page, if you look, I'm over here up above the layers. You can hit this box and it will turn this layer blue. But also you can click on this arrow right here and set the layer color. So I could have it any color I want. If I want it green, I just do that. And so a lot of times I don't necessarily work on as a blue line because it doesn't matter. You can do any color you want. And in fact, I would recommend that you pick a color that isn't blue because it's actually a little bit easier on your eyes. So when you're selecting your blue, I would honestly recommend something maybe along the lines of this. Or a little more, let me see if I can, a little less saturated. Maybe somewhere down here. You know, something like this. This isn't going to burn your eyes out, but like working over like neon blue is just, I think it's a bad idea. Like this, like we work on this like super refractive blue. Save your eyes the strain. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a good idea? You know, I try not to mix guitar with the art, honestly. It's like I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't know. It's like I've never been a show off for you guys using Clip Studio. Are you drawing at 100%? That's a good question, Seven. And nice to see you, Steven. Did you see that I mentioned you in a video a few weeks ago? You're welcome to come back to Patreon if you'd like to. Steven and I, we bumped heads. We're very passionate people. Yeah. So, Victor, do you work with a different color? We'll watch the chat for a second. I'll show you some other little tricks that I know. I know very, very basic stuff in Clip Studio, but what I'm going to do is each day while I'm working, I'm going to try to learn new things and show you other things. So how many of you know how to use the perspective tools in Clip Studio? Have you guys messed around with that? They're very, very kick-ass. So here, let's go into Clip and I'll show you something. So what's weird is there's another way to get to them that I can't remember, but this is so like say I want to do 1-point perspective and I want to set something up really, really fast. I can go into layer and with the layers you have layers, is it layer settings? Ruler frame. Yeah, so you go into ruler frame and create perspective ruler. It will be the only thing that's highlighted. And then you can select 1, 2, or 3-point perspective. So I'll just show you one really fast. So it immediately puts this thing that looks a little intimidating on your piece of paper. But you can touch right here and it starts to activate all these points. And so at this point, now what I can do is I can grab this middle circle. I can move this around. And so like say if I had a panel up here and I want it at 1-point perspective, say my first panel is going to be 1-point perspective. Let me, I'm going to try to create another layer really fast. Oh, will this work? I'm going to try to like have like, we'll pretend like that's layer or that's panel 1. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this. So I want panel 1 to be a 1-point perspective. Will this thing be active? No, it's not. I have hunch it. I don't know. Okay, what happens is like when you create this perspective layer, if you go away from it and then come back, for whatever reason, I don't know how to reactivate it. So I'm going to delete it for now, but I will figure that out because it's a really annoying thing. So I'm going to go to layer, and someone will know. I'll see if they can tell me what to do. So anyway, I'm going to create the 1-point perspective layer, and we're just going to do it like here. So I'm going to set it here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually rotate it. I want it at an angle. So I'm taking these dots that are on the side of this, and I can twist it, and you can then take your sticks that are going to guide the lines. So whoa, I grabbed the wrong stick. The middle circle is the one that will move it, and you can do this. Okay, so now I've got a 1-point perspective shot set up. Now I can take a pen. I'll take a brush and I'll do it kind of thick. And let's see. Okay, so let me. What did I do? Oh, well, let me draw. What's going on? Did I fuck up? Man, I messed up. I don't know. What did I do? That's really weird. Why won't it let me draw? Hold on. I'm going to go to the chat and see if you know. What did I do wrong? You have 5-string acoustic? Yeah. I inked Archer and Armstrong. I've got an 8-string guitar. Drawing 11 by 17.4 is so big. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So, Donald, when you work in CLIPSTUDIO, what size do you work? You use a darker blue? Okay, I see, Victor. Thanks. There's another way. You can add single perspective. What's up, Antoine? How are you? You can do it with another tool. I'm not going to look for it right now, but there's another, is it this? Somewhere you can actually add, you can add it. Let me go back for a second. I'm going to add one more layer to this. Let's see. Can I? Well, let me write on this. Does it need to be over it? Let me see. That's really weird. Antoine, what am I doing wrong? Do you work in this program and know what I'm doing wrong? I'll look into the perspective rulers and figure it out. You know what, though? I think it's a glitch with my my thing, because it did this last time I demoed it, and when I went and just created a new perspective ruler, then it worked. So I'm going to go back to the original canvas. I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to do it. Let me see now. I'm going to go create a perspective ruler. Okay. Yeah, and then let me just do this. I'm going to leave it here, but I want to see if I can draw on this now. Pen. Yeah, okay, so that's what it is. So when you lay it in, you can now work on this layer and have everything go to that vanishing point. You have to be careful, though. If you it can sometimes read your line weird, but anyway, you can see like that. Then you've got these, and it'll go straight up and down too if you want. So it's nice. I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you one thing. I want to rotate it. I'll take it out and then put it in, and we'll create something a little more interesting. Let me. Okay, so on layer 2, I'm going to go layer, ruler frame, create perspective ruler. I'm going to do a 1-point perspective ruler. You tap this. You can move this wherever you want. You can take these sticks and kind of create like the cone that you want to use. And I'm actually going to turn it so it's at a different angle, almost like if maybe like a plane was flying towards us or something. So now let me grab the pen tool and see if I can. Yeah, okay, yeah. So, and now I can literally just have all my lines go to the vanishing point. It's really, really great. I think it's one of the coolest things that CLIPSTUDIO has. And this was the thing that Eric Canetti was talking about, the lazy Mizumi add-on that you can add on to Photoshop. But you know, same thing here, and you can have all this going to the vanishing point. Now let's look at 2-point perspective really quick. Let's delete this layer. Delete layer. I'm going to create a new layer, new raster layer. You have 2 choices. You have raster layer and vector layer. I always use raster, and then I'm going to go into layer. There's a shortcut key for this that creates a different one. So create perspective ruler. I'll do 2-point perspective now. So with 2-point perspective rulers, you can pull this up. You can get it kind of going funky here. And let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to take the pen tool and we'll create some cool 2-point perspective stuff. You see that? That's pretty nice, man. It's good shit. And we're above the horizon line, so we're going to send them down. Catch the bottom of our box on the flip side, yo. And then look at that. And then if you, when you want, there's a way that you can turn this off. I'm not 100% sure how to actually turn it out of being a perspective ruler, but you can see how quickly you could do that. Now let's goof around with 3-point perspective for 1 second. And then I got to get to work. I can't spend too much time on this, but we'll come back. And like I said, I know this was just a dry run. So if this video sucks, don't worry, they'll get better. I figured let's learn together. Learn together to stream too. So ruler frame, create perspective ruler. We'll go into 3-point perspective. All right. So I'm going to tap in the middle. All of a sudden it activates everything. Now this is confusing to me because although I've played with the 3-point perspective ruler in here, when I see these lines, it sort of makes my head go, all right, what am I doing? So this is the horizon line. I'm going to tilt it a little bit, or let me tilt it like this. And then, okay, and this is the vanishing point down below. I'm gonna make it even further so that my 3-point perspective is super low. You can rotate this all the way up though. If you just grab the end of this, I can make my vanishing point way up at the top. Now other people might be watching this and going like, dude, you can do it another way, but I'm just saying that, like, I'm gonna put this vanishing point way up here. Okay. So now let's see what we can do with the pen. Oh, my line went off. Okay, this is going to be super extreme. But you know what I mean? And it's weird too, so I totally get that when people think of perspective, we immediately think of buildings. There's much, much more that you can do with these ideas, but it's just, you know, you see the geometry and you go, oh, okay, like we can make buildings. But you know, that's a pretty cool shot, you know, if you had like some sort of crazy thing that you wanted to do. And like I said, there's a way to turn off the perspective ruler and then go immediately into just drawing normally. I can't remember how to do it off the top of my head, but you know, same deal. You know, you can, if you wanted detail on your building, you know. Okay. So let's just chat for a few minutes and then we'll come back to this on another day. The ellipse tool automatically works in perspective with, okay, that's very, very cool. The one, okay, no problem, Antoine, I'm kind of catching up. Use Procreate, Brain. So what was I going to say? Yeah, like, so for CLIPSTUDIO, although I know stuff about it, it's very limited. I mean, you can see how I'm hitting walls and stuff like that, but that should be encouraging to people because unless you really know the program good right now, you're probably the same way. You have certain things that you know how to use in the program. For me, ellipses are big sevens. Or do you want me to call you Seven or Steven? Ellipses is a huge part of CLIPSTUDIO Paint to me if I was going to use it in any kind of workflow, because you're going to draw guns, you're going to draw tires on vehicles, you may be drawing gear on characters and stuff like that. And it's like, not everything is box land, you know. It's like we don't live in a cube world. I need to really have a mastery of cylinders and things that I could lay down fast. Then the next thing for me would be, how do I go about inking those same lines if I was going to do it digitally? Procreate is very intuitive and powerful. So Procreate, though, is only on iPad, right? I'm going to grab a sip of coffee while we're chatting. Cheers to all of you. This is fun. I'm really enjoying being live. I was so nervous. The first couple of times I came on, I hadn't really been in front of the camera in a while, and I was just like, oh, man, this is so weird. Discord is annoying. Yeah, some people love Discord, some don't. I never understood it. I actually went on and I just found it very confusing. So I left quickly. You like CLIPSTUDIO's brush engine best? I love Photoshop. If Photoshop had, what are the things that I love in CLIPSTUDIO more? I'm trying to think. And these perspective rulers are very badass, but I know you can use Lazy Mizumi and the other one. Oh, the pens. like like the G pen and the mapping pen and stuff like that. I have, yeah, no problem, Russ. Like I said, there's a big learning curve for me on this, so I don't want to. You know, that when I said mastering Clip Studio, it's not going to be a one-day thing. Over the month, we're going to really tear this thing apart and try to figure out as much as we can about it. So I thought it would be an interesting. Right, I agree, Ryan. I think it does. Okay. Oh, really? So you just used Clip Studio for the first time, Stephen? Yeah. Oh no, it's incredible. Um, yeah, like I think that the brush and pen tools are just superior. But you know, Victor Bogdanovic, if I'm not mistaken, he inks all of his stuff in Photoshop and gets an incredible look. I've never found the taper on the brushes and pens in Photoshop. In fact, I can show you. I've got let me open Photoshop really quick, and I'll show you a brush that should be similar to like the mapping pen or one of them. Let me know. Hold on, let me get out of this. So when I'm going to go into Photoshop for a second, let me know that you can see Photoshop full screen, and then I'll come back and go in it. But here, I'm going to go into Photoshop. Tell me if it takes up my whole screen. So right now when I'm in Photoshop, are you seeing Photoshop? Just so I make sure that I'm doing it. I'm going to create a 400 template inches. We'll just do 11 by 17. We'll keep it kind of comic standard. So I've got tons and tons of brushes and pens and stuff like that that I found online. So when I go to my tool presets, I can go down here. I renamed them, but I call them Smooth Criminal. But Smooth Criminal should be similar to like the mapping pen or the G pen, but it just doesn't. It doesn't have the consistency. Do you see, like, I'll zoom in really close here. So I threw two lines that were identical. Look at the tips on these. Look at how blunt that one is. And then even that one, although it's pointed, still ends with a rounded tip. I'm not down with that. If I flick a line and it's not doing the line that I want, then it's of no use to me. But that taper, from what I remember looking at the properties of it, was as small as, like, that's 1 pixel. And I'm at 400 PPI, so it should be sharper. It's not bad. It's just not to the degree of Clip Studio to me. So let me go back and see. Could you see that? Needs a mod to ping him. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. Smooth Criminal. It's funny, right? Not showing Photoshop. Oh, okay, so it wasn't. I need Kelsey here. Kelsey wasn't on the Jack show last night. I was so disappointed. So anyway, but all right. So we're gonna wrap it up. We don't see Photoshop. Okay, yeah. I'll figure this out. I mean, worst case scenario, I'll switch back over to Stream or OBS and just use that, because OBS just will record my screen, and then I'm pretty sure I can inset it. You should check them out, but Sketchbook Pro isn't nearly as good as CS or Photoshop. Right. Clip Studio, I think, is just the program to use. You know, this is my theory on it is I do all the heavy lifting in Clip Studio if I was going to do anything digitally, and any of the custom brushes that I really like in Photoshop, then I could just, you know, use that program for it. Let me see something here really quick. Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't have the inset. So, all right, was there any questions you guys want to ask me? Like, we can chat. We'll chat for like 5 more minutes, and then I should split. But I figure since we're all here, we can at least make it worth. If there's an earthquake, that wall is coming down. Yeah, I know. That's a closet, though. It's just a closet with no doors. Those shelves in there are like rock solid. But my office would be a disaster if we had a big earthquake. A studio. Excuse me. I've lived in California my whole life. The earthquake thing is a little bit overblown. And also I live south. We don't get as big of earthquakes here. I'd be more scared of tornadoes, honestly, than an earthquake. I think people that live in like Tornado Alley, you guys have got balls of steel. That shit, tornadoes are scary. No, I'm not doing Blaster Kit digital at all, Steven. Zero. I may lay this stuff out digitally just to sort of have faster. Oh, I cut my hair off a long time ago. I'm practically bald. I've got like almost no hair. I fit in very well with all the comic book friends of mine. It's like we're heavy set guys with beards and losing our hair. least I can own it now forever. It's like embarrassing when you lose your hair. We had huge earthquakes here. Only thing happened, my lawn chair tipped over. That's funny. His books were incredible. Who are we talking about? I missed who it was. Whose books are incredible? Yeah, right. The baseball hat crew. Yeah. It's funny because people with nice hair, they go, baseball hats give me headaches. Bald guys don't say that. You cling to your ball cap. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I missed the the original pages of Blaster Kid. You know, you've probably heard me say this before. I'm not a big fan of selling my original art, so it's one of those things that would be a big hurdle for me to decide. Because it's like it would be cheesy to want to keep all the best pages and just sell pages that I don't like. I don't know, or you know what I mean? Like artists were. Oh, Scott Robertson's books, yeah, he's great. You know, Scott Robertson, when he did Inktober a couple of years ago, was actually I know Blaster Kid baseball caps. Scott's to be. He would sell his Inktober pieces. Scott Robertson would. I bought recently on Gumroad a motorcycle demo video that he did. The reason being, and this is something interesting you guys can maybe use as a takeaway. So the reason that I bought the motorcycle tutorial from Scott Robertson is motorcycles have very complicated like lines and curves on them. And even though I have no need to draw a motorcycle, I knew that if I could learn to draw a motorcycle well, I could do a lot of different vehicles and guns easily. So initially what I really wanted is I would have loved to have like some really good drawing like sci-fi weapons tutorials. And if anyone knows of any, you know, I had a name for my company and I can't remember what it was. I came up with it a year or two ago and I would have to actually look through notebooks to remember what it is. But I did have a name. I mean, my initials are RAF, which is kind of like Royal Air Force. So I was trying to maybe come up with something like that. I had come up with a fake like a role-playing game. Like I was really getting back into Dungeons and Dragons and I was trying to think of like an RPG game and I was going to call my company Royal RPG. So I don't know, maybe something with Royal Rich, Royal Dick. We'll see. As a kid, what was great about going to your tables, Rich? No pressure on a kid to buy original art. You just let me look and ask questions. Oh, I don't think we're that like. How young were you? I mean, I kind of thought we were almost the same age, Ryan. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, Scott Robertson is great. Does anyone know though? Is there are there any like good sci-fi or like gun video tutorials out there? Like, has anyone seen any? Because that was a real curiosity to me. Is like I've seen like ZBrush demos where people create like really kick-ass like sci-fi weapons in like ZBrush, but yeah, I couldn't really find much on drawing them. Royal Dick Comics, I love it, right? Thank you. I am a true nerd. Oh, Koro. Oh yeah, Koro's great. Man, how fun. Steven, did you used to go to the conceptart.org website back when like all the huge legends were there? Yeah, I know. Dungeons and Dragons, comics, and guitars. I am a true nerd, right? And that's like you overcome it by being cool. So let's see. Inking question. How would you ink a long, smooth, curvy line? A single stroke, double stroke whilst tilting the paper? Okay, so for me, I can do like you know, like a French curve, like the long French curve. That's actually a very comfortable length of a line that I can freehand. So if I had like say like kind of arcing strokes that were about that length, I could probably freehand them. But I would do it in a single stroke, probably with a brush. With a crow quill, the problem is it maybe wouldn't hold enough ink to do the full line. So like a long, smooth, curvy line. And then if you don't have control, use a French curve. Use the long French curve. I would recommend using a micron, like a 05 micron or 08, because it's a juicier pen, unless you need a really, really thin line, and then use that. Oh, nice. Yeah, the concept art was so fun. So Miles Johnson, sorry, Miles Davis. The horn player. Remember when Miles Davis was on concept art? That was crazy. No, Miles Johnson was just a teenager back then, and he's gonna be like a legendary artist. But man, I remember when he would post like little fantasy drawings of like guys in chainmail armor. He was probably like 14 or 16 years old. It's crazy. Go over it with pencil first a few times. Yeah. But yeah, never be you know, ashamed or think that you can't use like a ruler or a circle template or whatever. You know, I mean, who cares ultimately? It's kind of like, it's getting to the point too where so many people do use digital or interested in digital that it's like, I just figured, why not see really what like something like CLIPSTUDIO could do? But then, you know, if you don't want to use something like CLIPSTUDIO, then you have the option to work digitally. But yeah, I mean, this desk right here, honestly, if like I'll pull out a bunch of stuff. So I have this I just bought recently on eBay, which is, it's a German, the company is called Pacific Arc, like ARC. These are amazing, amazing French curves that are so much better made than the ones that you get now. And they're not that old, but they're maybe like 20 years old. But man, if you can get a nice set of the Pacific Arc French curves, take really good care of them. Don't get them scratched up on the sides. But these are made of real thick plastic and they're great. But I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, I have so many freaking templates, and I actually have a real steady hand and can freehand most things. But what's it going to hurt for me to have these? These are expensive though. I mean, you're not going to be able to just go out and like, unless you've got an unlimited budget, and buy all this stuff. But I mean, I have circle templates, ellipses. I mean, I have so many different triangles. I tape them up. Even if they have the inking edge, I always elevate them a little bit more. These were, I can't even remember where I got all these. I think my dad had them, but these are like drafting templates, but they're not made for inking. So they're good for penciling. Sorry, I'm like showing them the wrong way. But they're not elevated. There's no inking edge on them. And I mean, there's just tons. I even keep broken ones, because this is handy if I need to do a small curved line and I don't want to have a whole template out. I mean, you can use that. I used to buy huge, okay, my camera. I used to buy big ones of these and then break them on purpose. And I have one, I don't see what's in here. Oh, yeah, like this. Like, do you see how it's broken? But the other end, it becomes a really, really effective little, like little tool. Here's another broken French curve. I have so much of this shit. And then for me, my main ruler that I use is this metal. It's a metal drafting ruler. And again, I tape it up. Oops, sorry. But it's like, how many inches is this? This is a 16-inch metal ruler. And then I just, and it's not made for inking. And then I just put pennies on the bottom of it. So let's see. I know, right? I'm a cheater. But I don't really use them. I mean, honestly, the main one that I'll use is I'll use the circle template, because like I just think that like small circles should look like a circle. And then the big French curve comes in really, really handy, especially if you have to do like curved like speed lines. Yeah. But oh yeah, no, like I said, Plaster Kid's all traditional. It's not a digital book, so don't worry. I know, right? It's 16 inches. Too hot for YouTube. You got to ink some original Blaster Kid covers and splash pages. Yeah. Well, Kelsey and I are working on a new series of pieces that we're going to release for everyone. And then we're going full on into the book. He's very, very busy. And I have to just, it's like, I'm not putting it on Kelsey, but what I mean is like, he's got a lot to do, which gives me time to actually get a lot of art together for him. Actually, this will be fun. Let me show you this really quick. So I'm going to get a pointer. So this is a photocopy of Travis's X-Men Wildcats Dark Ages cover. Do you see that up there by the light? And then right beneath it is the only page that he did of the interiors for it. And then beneath it is the panel that Scott Doombier released recently. So I have my little Travis inspiration thing there, because so Blaster Kid is very, very inspired by the fact that he never did Wildcats X-Men Dark Ages. He did that one page, and Blaster Kid to me is like the story that happened that we never got to see. Right? Steven likes that. But yeah, so that really is, that's sort of the genesis of the character. I'm trying to get where you can see it. But he did that page with that big walker and that girl walking in like the snow, and I just saw that and I was like, it bothers me that I'm never going to see that comic book through his eyes. So all I could do was attribute to it. How do I go about Blaster Kid will be 48 pages, but there's going to be 4 books. I have four stories for it. Hold on, there was a question. Inking shading lines on younger characters or women. Look, for women, even middle-aged, attractive women, don't put a lot of lines on the faces. So here's the deal, and you can go and look at the work, and you tell me what you think. So Brian Hitch, when he was working on The Authority, uses like real heavy blacks, and he'll shade like women's faces. I think he kind of got away with putting detail on women's faces, and they still worked in his style. I honestly, even if I had a character very, very dramatically lit, like a female face, the more black or lines you put on their face, it can look real weird. You really have to be, skin tones. Talking about skin tones, how do you go about shading skin tones? You have to, like, I did a lesson yesterday for a person, and they were trying to do a portrait, and you have to be very, very sensitive to values, and you have to understand how light falls across form. I mean, I would recommend, if you really like, when this video goes live, put a link to your Instagram up, and let me look where you're at with your drawings. Generally, a question like that, if you're asking a question like that, you probably don't understand all the pieces that are going to take you to being able to do it at the highest level. And I don't mean that in like in an insulting way. Maybe you do, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of subtlety to skin tones and shading them. I mean, that's the bottom line. Is what medium are you talking about, Christopher? Let me know what medium are you talking about in pen and ink? Yeah, like what Seven is saying, with you want to keep it delicate and patterned, and you have to understand the flow of the face, like the planes of the face. I can do a video on it where I take like a woman's face and show you like the topography of it. You have 5 million subs now, Brain Games. See, I'm playing it forward. I know. Shit, I stopped. I gave up on Instagram. I won't even ever get 17,000 followers. So okay, I'm gonna go. I gotta get to work. So all right, thanks for coming by. I'm gonna study some CLIPSTUDIO today while I'm working, and we'll see what we can do. I'm trying to think of another artist that you might want to look at for faces. Let me think. Pen and ink faces that are nice and attractive. You know, you may want to look at Olivier Coipel. I am on Facebook, but I rarely use it. But do you know Olivier Coipel's work? Check out how Olivier Coipel draws women's faces, because he actually does really pretty women's faces, and shades on them and stuff like that too. So Adam Hughes, yeah, Adam Hughes would be another good one to look at. And see, Adam leans a little bit towards the Hitch thing, which is Adam will actually spot black on girls' faces, and that can be tricky. Silvestri, yeah, Silvestri would be another one too. Instagram's a fool's game. I agree. That's why I came to YouTube. YouTube is my stomping ground. So, all right, everyone, have a great day. I'll talk to you guys all later, and I'll be back on Sunday for Super Fun Sunday. All right, thank you. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.